Hello art journalists, this is Natalie from NK Design. Welcome to a flip through of one of my art journals. I bound this art journal myself using 300 GSM or 140 pounds hot pressed watercolor paper. The cover is made of cardboard, which I adhered cotton fabric to and then embellished it further with acrylic paints, stencils from TCW and some stamps. This page has a lot of texture on it. First I gessoed it, then I added color, stamps, then I put some texture paste through stencil for the flowers. I added some black India ink splatters and I added the play card on top with the quote on it. The background of this quirky girl is made with dilution spray inks and gesso to get that pastel-y look. The black lines are Tombow markers and the girl is painted in acrylic paints. This page is not prepped with gesso, but I did use dilution spray inks, but this time I added them into a water brush, so used them more as watercolors. Inspired by our magnolia in our backyard, I created this page using acrylic paints, stencils and spray inks. Now here I collaged first with dictionary papers, lots of acrylic paint, acrylic markers, stencils and stamps. Sometimes less is more. Here I only used a little bit of ledger paper as collage, then a stencil with dilution spray inks, some washi tape and some texture paste through a stencil. Another page I didn't prep with gesso to maintain the watercolor effect. Again, I used the dilution spray inks in water brushes and the colorful lines are done with Sakura gel pens. For the next one I used lots of collage, acrylic paints and stencils, my own hand-carved stamp, and the hearts are also done with collage paper, and then I used watercolor pencil in black and activated it with a water brush. Now this one I gessoed first, but there is no masking tape in the spine, and I used watercolor pencils and then activated them with a water brush. I'm not sure why, but I don't use red a lot in my art journals and I like the color red. I really love this color combination on this page. Lots of texture with gesso, acrylic paints and just doodling and having fun. Now this next one is one of my all-time favorites. If you're interested, there is a progress video on my YouTube channel. Lots of layering and, well, I won't say too much, just have a look at the video. I give myself permission to dream. So this one has more soft colors. I used a variety of acrylic paints, stencils and stamps. I've got my own hand-carved leaf stamp, and that one on the bottom is a roller stamp I don't know the brand of. The stencil is Kaisercraft and the letters are from Diane Reevely. This next one has lots of texture. I'm not sure if the camera can catch it. What I do is I add gesso generously to the page, then fold it over and smudge the page, and then you get this organic vein-like texture, which I really enjoy. I then added some color and stamps, and the bottom is acrylic ink, which I simply let drop down to make the grass leaves. This page is quite simply done. Gesso, a little bit of color with stencils and some stamps. Then I played around with sepia India ink and I wrote on it, and I splattered with inks as well. And what do you do when you are in a creative block? Well, your art journal about it. I think the cogs are very symbolic for being stuck, and I just use some paints, some masks, and that's it. Now with this one I had lots of fun. I used some paper doilies as collage, some colors, and I love this color combo, and I just doodled around and had fun. And how is this for some contrast in comparison to the previous one? No gesso, I simply doodled with a black marker and then colored it in with pen pastels. I wrote this by hand, but I had something on my computer so that I knew how to write these letters. Another color you won't see me use very often is purple. Here I used it in combination with yellow, which is a composite color. I used acrylic paints, some stencils, and some inks and colored pencils. Here is a very simple page using my favorite colors. The circles are done with toilet paper rolls and inks. Talk about bright colors. For this one you need to wear your sunglasses. The neon pink is so bright. I'm just experimenting, having fun with some acrylic paints, stencils and doodling around. Using some collage material by my good friend Melita Bloomer, and I added this scalloped piece which I stapled onto the page. Something you will see me doing very often is blocking out. Yes, I am covering things up. I go completely bananas with colors, stencils, doodles, marker pens, and then block shapes out. Now this background is an existing jelly print where I experimented with black gesso, stencils and dilution inks and resist. Then I simply glued it onto the page and used acrylic markers, paint markers to doodle the flowers on top. If you're interested, there is a video for it. The background for this one I used Neocolor 2s and gesso. I like to blend the Neocolors with the gesso. Used some stencils with acrylic inks and black marker. And yes, if I have to journal something that I don't want anybody to read, I simply scribble it in. For this background I created a little bit of a resist with gesso. You can lightly see these white circles, and I received Japanese brushes which I had to try out. I used black India ink to draw and also to write. It's not easy. And here is another one of those block out pages, and this one is also one of my favorites. I simply love the colors. I added acrylic inks or acrylic paints, some doodles, some stamps with a white ink, and then I blocked it out slightly with white gesso. The circles I outlined with black watercolor pencil and white Posca pen, and I doodled on top of it as well. I hope you enjoyed this little flip through. If so, give it a thumbs up, and I see you next time. Until then, happy arting!